Greg, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing excellent. Obviously, the loss, as I heard you talking about, it stings a little bit, but it's
Yeah,
all good.
yeah.
You
I
win
mean,
some, you lose some. It's a part of
exactly.
the game.
Yeah, that's what I tell fans. I tell fans that because I was around fans walking out of the stadium, and I said, "Hey, for us as players, we gave it all, right? They played hard. You saw Josh
Yep.
Jacobs; he's out there. He's sore, got a sore knee, but he's still, trucking. Jordan, the offensive line, even and then Malik gets in and does his thing. He comes in next man up mentality. So that is, as we know, we were both part of it for a long time. Being
Yep.
players in this rivalry, we knew that the records didn't matter. It just go out there play some football, but it counts double, and we can explain to that. We could try to talk about that here right now. It counts double because it's a rivalry game. We want to get them, but then also we know playoff positioning, like I mentioned earlier, is important and a part of it. And trying to get that win is it pays dividends for both teams moving forward.
Yeah, it definitely does. And watching that game, I think there's a lot of positives that we'll
Hmm.
kind of talk about. Um, but on the surface, when you know what's at stake, and
Hmm.
you mentioned the implications of this game, of this matchup, specifically um, the rivalry idea
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Like, speaking to that, like, naturally you want to walk away having the upper hand, sweeping the
Hmm.
Bears or sweeping the Packers. If you are the Bears, you want to be able to kind of stick your chest out
Hmm.
and be able to say that across state lines. Split the game. Look, the Bears being good and the Packers being good at the same time is great for the NFL. It's
100%.
simply great for the NFL, and it only magnifies and intensifies what this rivalry has always been.
Hmm.
You kind of spoke to it a little bit with some of the guys that were able to step up and play key roles in
Hmm.
important parts of why this game was even a contest
Right.
to begin with some of the injuries and on both sides. Um, but man, the playoff implications are real because as well as I do, you want to get those home games. You want to
Hmm.
host. And even if you don't get the opportunity to do that, it's already a hostile environment. You mentioned you were there in the stadium. So
Hmm.
we know how hostile it can be just
Yes.
from a rivalry standpoint, just
Yes.
simply because they're facing the Packers and we're facing the Bears.
Yes.
Just that, let alone playoff implications,
I mean,
like, on the
home
table.
field advantage implications coming here.
So I mean, it's exciting. It's an exciting time for football. Obviously, the Packers fell short.
Hmm.
Um, I'm interested to hear from you as it pertains to the Packers, and I know I'm not asking the questions here, but
Right. No,
like,
you gotta
just
ask questions.
just
We
just
pro
looking
pro.
at them, from the start of the season to now,
Hmm.
specifically their running game.
Correct.
What stood out to you? Because that, for me, and I'll speak my piece really quick.
Hmm.
I was waiting for their running game to surface. The
Correct.
first half of the season, it was almost like it was non-existent, and a lot was on Jordan's shoulders, which
Yeah.
rightfully so. But now we're starting to see that awaken a little bit. How important is that from your standpoint? What have you seen to make that turn around?
What I've seen is just giving them the ball, giving them the opportunities, and giving. That's it. It's not rocket science. You know that, Jay.
Yeah.
You know that it's not rocket science, Greg. It is just give Josh the opportunities, give Emmanuel the opportunities, because then the defense has to be honest. They can't just sit back in zone to cover you guys. They can't just try to bracket you or say bracket Watson or bracket Reed or whoever is the hot receiver. Because one thing that I love that Jordan does, he sprinkles the ball to everybody. So you can't
Hmm.
focus on one thing. And so with that, the run game can be effective. It was slowed down in the beginning, like you mentioned, but now, even with being beat up a little bit, Josh Jacob has done his job. He's been a dude out there running the rock. And then I love that you got the change up with Emmanuel come off the bench. When he comes off the bench, it's just like, remember, look back, even, I think when you got there, you had myself and I think Tony was still with us, Fisher.
Yep.
If not before that, if you watch the old film, It was me, it was Tony, it was Najee, and then Renner when I left and came back. But before that, it was Ryan and Deshaun and a few other guys rotating. Having that mix of backs is good because one, the defense stays honest. They got to adjust to the run game. And then right there, the pass game can then flourish because you guys are getting open because it's run game defenders out there. It's more linebackers than DBs. They're sitting in a three zone instead of two or man to man press, things of that nature. So that right there is what I saw continuing because that's part of football. If you want to get to the playoffs and you want to win and
Mm-hmm.
go through, you got to have a run game. I don't care if it's 100 yards a game or if it's 50-yard a game. You got to have it because it's effective and it's the number one thing I said and will always say it keeps the defense honest. So
Yeah,
on that
yeah, it's
standpoint.
interesting. It's interesting you mentioned just giving them the ball. It's important because a lot of times, I think, especially in today's game,
Mm-hmm.
pass happy league, we want to see the ball in the air, pushing it down the field, the quarterback being the offense and the
Mm-hmm.
reason why offenses go. However, in the Packers situation, particularly to start the season,
Yeah.
with Watson, their deep threat guy, being sidelined due to injury. I thought they. I'm not gonna. I don't. I didn't see it the way you saw it, where it's like give them the ball, but I did feel like they shied away from leaning into the run. So I guess
Correct.
you can say that just giving them the ball.
And that's saying
But
it,
I
just
think,
saying it in a different way. That's
yeah,
you're dead
but I,
on. You're hitting the
yeah,
head, nail on the head.
but I also thought a lot of that reasoning was due to their inability to consistently stretch the field early in the season. But now that
Exactly.
that's happening, obviously when you can't stretch the field, you can take away the run. So when you aren't running the ball already and feeding the running backs
Mm-hmm.
with a volume set of carries, and then you do choose to read or feed the running back, and you aren't stretching the field, the safeties are up, so everybody's tighter to the line of scrimmage, and then you don't have productive runs, and so that thus then leads to you not calling that run anymore. So
Correct.
I thought a lot of those things were key factors into why they weren't running the ball early in the season, and obviously now we see what their offense is looking like and their ability to run the ball
Mm-hmm.
has opened up because they can push the ball down the field because they are
Yep.
sticking with the run a little bit more and relying on those gritty yards.
Exactly. And talk about so getting into this game here. So the game flow, as we know, the weather was inclement. It was
Yep.
cold. We saw the
Yep.
wind kicking in on the field goal kicks. That was rough. Tight windows for throwing the ball as well. So defense, their defense very opportunistic now. They're top of the league in turnovers. So the field sometimes was short for the pack coming out 3 and out, 3 and out. And so what was do you feel the Bears control tempo early and often, in this game, and then leaning on their field position as well, in terms of being the
So
drive, so coming out slow.
I didn't feel like they controlled the tempo. I thought that both teams, it was almost like a heavyweight bout,
Hmm.
the old school heavyweight bout,
Correct.
where
Yeah.
they filling each other out in the first few
Yeah.
rounds.
Hmm.
Neither side can get anything really going, but waiting on a chance to strike, an
Right.
opening, if you will. And I felt like that was happening. What I did feel, and credit to the Bears,
Yeah.
is that the margin of error, it was, you could identify that, you could
Oh yeah.
feel that, like the Packers understood, like, okay,
Oh yeah.
we can't give them a short field. That's when they have that's when they can put their best foot forward, obviously
Hmm.
given their situation in the takeaway department, and then
Yep.
being heavily reliant on the run game. Well, if you give them an opportunity to play on a short field, they're going to lean heavily into that with the play calling standpoint. The more ground they have to cover,
Right.
they have to consider throwing that ball. And in those conditions,
Hmm.
when it's cold, you have a young quarterback who does have a really good arm, who feels like he can make any throw, uh, regardless of the weather. You want to test that out, and I felt
Yep.
like early in that game we they didn't have to test it out because we weren't able to convert on third downs early.
Hmm.
They definitely weren't able to convert on third downs throughout the entirety of the game. But like I said, the margin of error because of their ability to take the ball away, it shrinks.
Yeah.
And with Jordan, he's gonna take those chances. And
Yeah, he does.
I honestly thought as the game began to unfold and Jordan went down with the
Yeah.
concussion, once Malik got in, like I never, because I saw the way he looked last year when he filled in a couple times,
Yep. Yep.
it's like, okay, this might work to their benefit. And and exactly what I thought
It is.
happened. His ability to use his legs, and not that Jordan can't get outside the pocket,
Yeah,
not
he
that
just
he
don't do it as
doesn't.
much. Yeah, he just don't do it
He
as much.
doesn't. He
Mm-mm.
doesn't lean into that.
Nope.
And Malik completely changed the dynamic of the game. It was almost like, okay, now the Packers kind of have control. It's as strange as it may seem and
Right.
sound. It felt like they had more control and the ability to possess the ball and sustain drives because he was a factor not only in the passing game but early and often with his legs.
Yeah, he was a changeup, and so they weren't prepared. They weren't prepared for
Not
that.
at all.
That and that's what throws the defense off. You throw something in like that, where I mean, it wasn't something they threw in. They got to the quarterback. They put Jordan on the
Yep.
sideline, and so just because of their being effective, they now was like, oh man, we need to now put in. Now we got a guy that's he's a spinner. Like he could do this and that with his ability. So that right there was the unknown factor coming into that situation once they put Jordan out of there. So talking a little bit about the Packers offense. So right now, having some opportunities to make drives, but they kind of stalled in Bears territory. We kind of hit on that already. How important was the fact that when they got to chances to get in the red zone resulted only in field goals? So what's the downside of that, of it resulting only in field goals?
So the that's always the tough part because I want to say they 0 and 5.
Not
They
good.
went 0 for 5 in
I
the
didn't even
red
know
zone.
that. Like I knew it was
Like
like at least I know they missed a couple
they went
and
they went 0 for 5 in the red zone. You can't do that.
no,
And
no.
again, they were able to score points, but those were from outside the red zone. And when you get in the red zone and you have the ability to capitalize that first
Mhm.
drive, to drive down and then to end up with a field goal, like, and then the second drive, the same thing.
Yep.
It's like when you don't punch that in, you allow your opponent, regardless of who it is, let
Correct.
alone it being the Bears, and they're at home and the crowd is
Yes.
still in it. Like
Yes.
that gives them the opportunity and the ability to feed off of that. That is a win
Yep.
for an opponent like that when you can stop them from getting in the end zone. And they did it all afternoon. A credit to
Mhm.
them. They
Yeah.
tightened up when they were in the red zone, that bend but not break mentality. And again, it's when you're unable to do that, you eventually, if we come back in on Mondays and in their case on Sunday after a Saturday game, you
Correct.
watch film. That's one of the first things you're talking about because it's the difference in
Oh,
winning and losing games.
it's
Field
momentum.
goals, touchdowns, and field goals.
Yep.
And when we look at over the course of this game, when we look back at it, if they get one or two of those touchdowns, they're not in this situation at the end of the game
Mm-mm.
where the game is at tight. But as we know, we've been a part of these games
Yes.
for many years. I don't care. You said this earlier. I don't care what the record is. I don't
Yep.
care how dominant one team is over the other. It's always seemingly a dogfight.
It
And
is.
either side can be up, and then there's this feeling of they're inching back, and that it's never secure. The win
Right.
is never in the bag, and that's what happened, man. They hung around, they kept them out of the end zone, and then when they had opportunities and they needed it,
Mm-hmm.
they were able to put the ball in the end zone.
Right, right. And also so let's look at the offensive line, the protection breakdowns from that. And then in some of the game play, because I remember once Malik got in there, the one snap at the end before
Yep,
to end it
yep,
off.
yep.
So how did those protection breakdowns came to, having these big old moments that pretty much decided the game for them?
So I thought for the most part, I thought they did a really good job of protecting. Obviously,
Hmm.
with Tom out, with Jenkins being out
Yep.
already, like I thought they did a really good job. I thought in the Bears, they don't pose a huge threat, but they obviously pose a threat of
Yeah.
getting after the quarterback. Everyone does, but
At some
some
point.
greater than others.
Right.
Um, but I thought for the duration of pretty much the game that they
Hmm.
were pretty solid up front, and Malik did a great job, as did Jordan, of extending the plays,
Hmm.
resetting the pocket at times,
Yep.
knowing that they had issues. And then Malik, once he got in, as I alluded, he just did a great job of getting outside the pocket, keeping his eyes down the field, but also
Yeah.
remembering his one of his greatest skill sets is his legs.
Yes, it
And
is.
it kind of gave vibes of Caleb and what Caleb does to everybody when he gets outside the pocket, which is
Exactly.
one of the reasons why that offensive line on their side does a great job of protecting him, leaning into the run game. And then when
Hmm.
you have a quarterback that is mobile, that can push the ball down the field, as a defender, you're stuck. You're stuck. Do
Yep.
I go and attack, or do I stay in coverage to try to help eliminate what's behind me that I don't
Exactly.
see?
Exactly.
And I felt like Malik did a great job of doing that. Caleb has, for the duration of the season, done an excellent job of putting defenders kind of in a bind where they have to pick and choose to either try to come and get him, and typically he's going to outrun him, or to stay back and stay in coverage, and then he's going to beat you with his legs.
Yep, it's basically making them lose, making them not win. Make them lose no matter what they're doing.
Yeah.
So for our defense, Packers defense did its job, but
They,
until it couldn't, until in certain situations. So the defense played, I'd say, winning football for longer the stretches of the game, keeping them punting the ball, keep them from
yep.
making other than the last explosive play at the end of the game, doing that early and often where they couldn't do that. That run, even though they got the DeAndre Swift, they got Kyle Monangai, who
Hmm.
are running, or they're dudes. They can run that ball. They can pick up the ball. So the score, from that standpoint, was low scoring most of the night for both teams. So for the element that we got to bring it up just one time here, but it doesn't really for me. I'm just doing this for the fans' sake, right? But talking about Mr. Parsons not being there, that pass rush lacking just that one player. How did that flip, from your point of view, the pressure that Packers were able to get to Caleb in parts of the game?
So oddly, like we know the impact that Micah
Yeah,
has. I
right.
don't care what uniform he's wearing. I don't care if it's a Pro Bowl uniform. I don't care if
Yeah.
it's a Dallas Cowboy uniform and now a Packer. He has impact when he's on the field. Oddly enough, I thought the Packers did a really good job
Hmm.
of corralling and maintaining the integrity of their rush lanes, not
Yes.
allowing what they did in the first matchup where Micah he would get there, but then Caleb, being elusive,
Yeah.
would step up in the pocket, leak out to the right, and then
Way off.
damage. We're
Right.
trying to get damage control to happen.
100%.
That didn't really happen. Obviously, he still won with his legs at times, but I thought
Hmm.
they did a good enough job to where it wasn't like he completely was clean and didn't feel pressure. He
Yep.
did get pressured at times, but the most important thing when you're dealing with a quarterback that you want to force to throw the ball,
Hmm.
keep him in the pocket and keep him in the pocket to where you
Yeah.
have contained. And they did a really good job of that. Defensively, I thought they played a great game, man. For them to be less than 20% on third down, they got
Right.
off the field.
Yep.
They allowed the offense to really determine kind of the tempo and the beat of that game. But again, as you had mentioned, it got away from him at the end. You
Yes.
can do such a great job of corralling the run and controlling what they do, but if you don't do it for the duration and you don't do it at the end of the game when it
Hmm.
matters most,
Yep.
it's almost like it's all for naught. And I hate to say that, but
Yeah.
that's how when we go into the film room after watching, it's like, I don't
Yeah.
care if you had 200 yards rushing, you lose that game or you have a fumble to where they possess the ball and they go down and score, and it's a
Right.
part of why we lost that game. That's what sticks. The
Yes.
fumble. And
Oh,
so I know the defense is feeling like, man, we didn't come up with the stop when it mattered most.
mhm,
But you got to give Caleb, you got to give Ben Johnson credit, man. He called a really
100%.
good game, and Caleb Williams executed. I don't care how you slice it. Look, he's developing confidence
Yes,
every
and
single week that he's out there. And
problem,
it is becoming more and more apparent that he's
problem.
going to be a problem.
Man, and let's talk about that. That was my next question on my sheet right here is Bears execution and Caleb Williams growth. Okay, because you just said it, he is getting confidence, and we know this as players. When
Yes.
I got confidence, I say going into my second year, even though it was a change of offense with Mike Holmgren coming to Seattle, and I learned the West Coast offense that first offseason or that first preseason and then training camp and then all that. I was like, by midseason of 99 for me, I was like, oh, okay. Now let me go back to how I felt when I was in college or when I was in high
Yeah.
school. Because now I know the offense. Let's go out there. So that right there is scary because for one, for me, the athlete he is,
Hmm.
to me, he's a running back that can throw the ball in my eyes because the way he can run the ball, and he's done
Of
it
course.
at every stop. He's been in college and now here at the pro. So now he's doing quarterback NFL quarterback things. He's protecting the ball, right? He's making throws
That's
when needed, right? So you already mentioned about his legs, and then and when he's been doing it since his rookie year. When his rookie year, he wasn't doing it right. Was extending
yep.
plays. Now he's extending plays to the point to hurt you. You already talked about that. So if you want to lean more into that, that's fine too. But for me, that's what I see out there.
Yeah, I think it starts, and Ben Johnson has alluded to this from the outset of the season. Like it was going
Hmm.
to take time. It was going to be, a maturation process, um, and kind of tempering expectations. Like bear
Hmm.
with us.
Hmm.
Is it this? We're curating something. Um, the operation, how he
Yes.
starts now, how they look. I know they had one or two pre-snap penalties, which they hadn't had in a while,
Right.
consistently, which were something that was obviously a point of emphasis as it
Correct.
pertains to their offensive execution and
Correct.
operation early in the season. It was always a mishap here or there, pre-snap penalties. The timing was a little bit off. All of that, he's done a terrific job of managing that operation.
Hmm.
So that's no longer top of mind. When you're thinking about that and you trying to execute a play,
Is it?
sometimes something's gonna get dropped off
Yep.
as far as your ability to execute. He's no longer thinking about that. So he's putting them in the position at the line of scrimmage. And now you're seeing a guy who knows what he's looking for to either stick with that run, check out of that run, and then when pass plays are called in the huddle, he's going through his reads. Last year, you saw him get to one, maybe two.
Maybe
You
two.
very rarely saw him get to three. You very
Correct.
rarely saw him get to three. Now this year, he's so patient, and his footwork doesn't always align to where
Correct.
he's set when he throws the ball, which is why he still has some errant throws from time to
Hmm.
time. But
Exactly.
he doesn't turn the ball over. So when you have a player with a big arm who's starting to learn how to marry all these things together, his confidence is growing. He ended the game against his rival where he threw a pick because he was a little late
Yep.
to the back of the end zone to Cole Kmet. Now, in the back of his mind, he walks away from that game not just feeling like, man, I blew it for my team, but feeling like, oh, I got them.
Right.
I got them.
That's all
I,
it
I
took.
got them.
Oh.
Yeah, like I got them. Like the second half and the way he played, you can kind of
Hmm.
see his vibrato change. And
Yep.
so it showed up in this game. And then to have the game he had against Cleveland the week before to come out, and he was struggling to start,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you could see he never lost confidence. He was putting the
Mhm.
ball where it needed to be. He had some drops from his receivers at times, but he didn't show a lot of body language, bad body language, if you
Yep.
will.
Yeah.
he stuck with it. And when he needed to make throws, he made those throws from inside the pocket and or outside the pocket. Obviously, none bigger than the last throw he made. I
bro.
mean, it's been unfortunately he's in a Bears uniform, but as a football savant, as a fan, like I love to see it. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
can't I can't knock anything of what I'm seeing out of Caleb. I know
no,
on shows sometimes I'm chipping away at my colleagues because they're Bears fans or whatever,
right,
but Caleb Williams, they have something special. And if we just allow him the op and afford him the runway, if you will, that doesn't look like what Joe Burrow had or Justin Herbert or
yeah,
even uh uh Drake May
yeah,
or some
yeah.
of these other guys that he was drafted with,
Mm-hmm.
like he's on his own time, and it's
Oh,
starting to become Caleb Williams' time right now, and it's on full display.
it is, and it's awesome. I mean, I remember like because we as pros, we could look at a kid, looking at him as a kid at Oklahoma, at USC. Man, if he gets the right polish, he gets tone, he gets discipline, he's gonna be an issue. And
Yeah.
now that question is being answered right now. That he is answering those questions right now to where he's at. So to move on real quick, we already talked about some of these turning points in the game, right? The red zone failure, being 0 for 5, the third down breakdowns, inability to get off the field defensively late in the game, where that's where the Bears start chipping and converting.
Mm-hmm.
Final possessions and stuff for the Packers. So Green Bay had chances, but Chicago finished stronger, in those opportunities for them. For you, what did you see? What was some of the, if it wasn't the same turning points, what was a turning point or a few more for yourself into this game?
Well, look, I don't know if you're gonna highlight it, but I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room. The onside kick, man.
Oh,
Th-
yeah. That
Clearly, like if you're Romeo, like I, I
you
feel
got
for my guy,
yeah, I feel
but
for him. You gotta
but
attack
in
the
the
ball.
same, you gotta either attack the ball or just bat it out of bounds.
Yeah, do
Like
that.
I'm I don't understand. Like again, and this is I'm challenged at times when I'm watching these games because I don't ever want to make it seem like, oh, I know everything because I'm on this side of it.
Yeah, and
But
I tell people
there's
that all the time.
you know,
100%.
it's easy to say what you would do when you're not literally in that situation. But having been in that situation before,
Me too.
I always and in that spot, I've
Yep.
always told myself because it's not something that coaches, special team coaches really harp on,
Yeah.
which is batting the ball out of bounds. But
Yeah.
if you let that ball just go out of bounds, it's your ball.
Yeah.
It's your ball. Like I but you can't and as somebody on the receiving end, you can't focus on and I know it's easier said than done.
Yep.
Once you see that ball coming and your eyes go to those
The,
those
the guy's coming
opposing
down.
punks
Yeah,
coming at you,
trying to take you out.
I don't care who you are, AG. It's hard to put your eyes back on that ball. it's
I was a
it's
kick
hard to
returner,
put
so I know that feeling.
it's it's hard to
Man.
put your eyes back on that ball once you see how close they are. So it's
Hmm.
just either keep your eyes on that ball, attack it to your point. You know you're gonna get hit. It's an onside kick. Your teammates, you got to trust the guys up front to hopefully knock some of those
Yep.
guys off you so they don't get a clean shot. But you got to recover that. And if you recover that, we can deal with if they get a 3 and out and they
Yeah.
call a couple use their timeouts and they stop us and then they go down and they score. I can deal with that.
Right.
The getting the ball on an onside kick where you have to alert that hey guys, we're onside kicking. Everybody knows that's a tough one to swallow, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. When I saw like I said, saw what he did, I'm just like, okay, he just didn't. It just either surprised him or
No, I didn't. It didn't surprise him. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna give him. I'm not gonna give him a pass. It did not
right. No, I'm not giving
surprise
him a pass either. I'm not trying to give him a pass. If I said that, you know what, my mistake. Just didn't get coached up well enough for that for me because you gotta attack the ball. That's the first thing coming in my head. is because I was a special teamer for 2 years, and you got to attack the ball, regardless of the
So
inclination of getting hit. Okay, you got to
yes,
attack the ball. You got to go get
yes,
it.
you do.
So
And I'm one. I guess I'm so take you inside of our unit room when we were in Green Bay
yeah,
specifically.
yeah,
Accountability was like you walk through the
yeah.
door,
Y'all had EB. Y'all had EB
you
like
better
I had
be
EB. Oh
you
yeah,
better
I
be
know
wearing accountability.
all day.
Even before AB, it was just with myself, with Drive, with James Jones, like we just challenge each other to when we watch film and you made a mistake or you dropped the ball. If you were about to give the excuse of why something happened first, I don't want to hear that. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's own the fact that you dropped it. Own
Right.
that. Own what happened first.
Yes.
And so when I watch the onside kick, it's like you got to own it, man. You got to wear that.
Yep.
You didn't attack the ball. I'm not gonna say, man, the coach didn't tell me that I should have attacked the ball or I should have hit the ball.
Right.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, and me
You got
saying
to do
that
that.
is just being, coaches,
No, I
that's yeah, yeah,
totally,
that's me. And,
yeah,
but the point of the accountability is you own it, and then you get past it, because then now there's nothing to linger in the room.
correct,
That's it.
correct,
That's why
correct.
accountability is important to do that. Is to say, okay, yep, I dropped the ball, or I didn't, get the ball where, but all right, next play, next game,
Yeah,
that won't happen again. And
because
now
we
I know the lesson.
because as long as we live life, as long as we experience or play ball, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't. You didn't go a career of playing and never fumble. You didn't go a
Right.
career and never have a missed assignment or a mistake. Like I didn't go a career where I didn't have a drop or a
Mhm.
fumble or a ball that I dropped that got picked. Like things are going to happen,
Oh
but
yeah.
the longer I take to choose to not wear the accountability, everybody's gonna be looking like, man, can I trust him?
Facts. And
Like,
you don't
is he gonna
and that's bad. That's what you don't
that
want.
yeah. So and again, and I didn't hear him after the game, and
Yeah.
I'm not at all putting the loss
Yeah. No,
on
it was
Romeo Dobbs in
we
that
already know
moment.
it's
It
other
was,
factors. It was other
but you
factors.
talked about turning points. That was a
Correct.
turning point. And
Big
everybody
one.
on that sideline and everyone in the stadium know that was the turning
A
point.
big one. A bigger one. So good job on that. So going in the next segment here. So what this loss means, right? So Packers fall behind in the NFC North race.
Yeah.
What's interesting, they're 4-0 in the division.
Yeah,
Or
they
4 and
were.
1. They were 4 and
They
0.
were.
They were. Now they're 4 and 1 in the division. So
Yeah.
they got, there's tiebreaker scenarios between matchups. We know that margin. So right now the margin of error, as you talked about, that razor thin, it shrinks dramatically here. So
Yeah.
going into these next two games, we got Ravens at home.
Mhm.
And then on the road, we have another divisional rivalry, Minnesota Vikings. So
Yeah.
in these next two games, I say what is going to be one of the things that they didn't do in this game efficiently to then looking for what they need to do in these next two games.
Again, obviously, we talked about the red zone efficiency or the
Yep.
lack thereof. You
Hmm.
got to put the ball in the end zone when you get in the red zone. You got to come away with more touchdowns than you do field goals.
Yep.
Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. That's ideal, but it doesn't always happen. But you can't go over. And then when you have an opportunity to close out an opponent, you got to close them out, whether
Yep.
that's on offense, defense, and or special teams. They had opportunity all three phases to close out that game, and they just didn't do it. And so when you have an opponent like the Ravens coming in, obviously coming off a tough loss at home
Yep.
against the Patriots, now they really don't have anything to play for if the Pittsburgh Steelers win this week
Right.
as well. So it's like, what version of the Ravens are we going to get? Are we going to get the Ravens? All of that is
Are
going to
they
be
throwing
talked
in the
about.
white towel? As we seen
Yeah,
teams do
all
this. We are.
absolutely.
I played in the NFL long enough. I was a part of a team that said, "You know what, we throw." I'm like, "What is
Yeah,
going on?"
yeah, absolutely. Cars is cranked up already
I
before
was
the
like,
season's over. Like we out of here.
we
Uh,
got two games. What?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a
Uh,
thing, and so
I'll just say this: it
um,
was none of my Packer teams. That's what I'll say out there. I played for two other teams, so it was never a Packer in the Packer
yeah.
locker room. I'll tell you that right now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
but this, regardless of how they come in,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take care of your own business, because if they take care of business against the Ravens, which I'm anticipating they will,
Yeah.
with or without Jordan,
Yeah.
if he passes concussion protocol, it I, it doesn't matter. They have to get it done. And then
Yeah.
obviously the finale against the Vikings, you can't slip up against a team that's going to just want to play upset. Spoiler.
Yeah.
But
That's
then
for
you
sure.
look
We already
at
know
you
that.
you look over at the Bears, and I believe they have the Niners and who do they
Let me see. I
yeah,
think
Niners
Detroit.
and the Lions.
I was gonna say Detroit. Yeah, I was gonna say
They
Detroit.
finished with the Lions in week 18, and you hope they slip up, but you can't focus on that.
Nope. Nope.
You can't focus on that. You hope they slip up. They rest on their laurels, if you will, and become satisfied with a big rivalry win over the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And you take care of your business. But ultimately, you just have to execute when it's your opportunity, whether it's offense, defense, and/or special teams.
Yeah, and I would say one win at home. You got Ravens at home, win at home. And
Yeah,
when you take away all the white noise, which is all the static from this game, looking at Baltimore, it's a clean slate. We look at who's playing, who's injured, who's not, and then control what you can control
yeah,
as a team, and then as a player, right? And then stack the disciplined performances on top of each other, because that means in practice, just start from that Wednesday practice and moving on to every practice that week going into this game. Then you know what things are getting back to where we feel good out there on that football field, and we'll be able to compete at home and front of the whole crowd. So anything you want to add to that?
yeah. To piggy back off that is, it's important. You know this. It's important to go into the playoffs if you have the opportunity to make it
Mm-hmm.
with some type of momentum. And so when you talk about stack those disciplines, like turn this opportunity into something that you learn from,
Mm-hmm.
not that you dwell on and that lingers into a game that could ultimately allow you to spiral out of position.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you control your destiny. Deal deal with the cards that you have been dealt,
Yep.
and play them accordingly. Simply put, and when if you can go into the postseason with some momentum, then this team has a chance, man. They have a chance.
They do.
I'll speak to this. The season we won it in 10 2010,
Oh,
like
I remember that.
we had a ton of injuries
Yes, I remember
throughout
that season.
throughout the duration of the season, the
Yeah, I
entire.
remember. I remember talking to Ted because the running back position was one of them, and I
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
came and
Ryan
I
Grant was.
came and I came a month before the playoffs hit, which I in my head I'm like they going, even though it's rough. I said y'all going. I said I came to Ted. I said y'all need me. I'm right down the street. I'm in shape. I just came from the UFL. I had played for the Omaha Nighthawks, and I had about 800 yards rushing for the season, so I was fresh legs. So
Wow.
I was ready just in case. And he, what he said? He
Yeah.
said he said they were looking at Andrew Dietrich Smith to bring him in just to have an extra O lineman because the O line was a little beat up. So I'm like,
Yep.
okay. I said, okay. I said, no problem. I said, I'm just letting you know. I said, if
Yep.
you
And we
you want
did that.
to throw the bat signal up, let me know. I'll come back again one more time.
He said, "I remember the bats, that old Batman back in here in the
Yep,
building."
yep, yep.
But yeah, we went into that postseason with some momentum
Yes.
and the mentality of, dude, we're a lot better than what these opponents may believe.
And
And
I say
so
everybody, the media, everybody.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we again, Philly went on the road, beat Philly. We had played Atlanta earlier in the season and lost to them in a tight game at the end of the game. We felt like we owe them one. We went down there, smacked them, and then went back to Chicago. And we all believe like
Beautiful.
y'all should have never let us get in this dance. We're gonna beat y'all now. Like that was the
Facts.
mentality. So if you get in with a vibrato and a mentality of where you can kind of puff out your chest amongst one another. We don't need to hear about it, but you got to go in there believing you can go and kind of slay every giant that's going to be in front of you.
Exactly, man. So, I appreciate you, bro, coming in,
For sure.
talking some good stuff here. We had, as we talked about, Soldier Field, they got one. They got
Yep.
one. They earned it. in every
They definitely
aspect
earned
of
it.
it. Yep, our rivalries are always swing back and forth. We know how that goes. So the one good thing we know, they still got the talent there in Green Bay. They have the leadership. LaFleur is going to get the ship right along with if it's Malik, and then in a couple weeks Jordan getting back. And so now it's about, like we talked about, you just mentioned execution. That's the most
Mhm.
part that matters here. So I just want to say thank you to you, Greg, man, coming in here, give me your insight and stuff like that. Are you let people know where you are if you want, because I know you were on Fox. I think you're still maybe on
Yep,
there.
still
So
on Fox
let
on
people know where you at.
FS1. Yeah, man, you can catch me every other week on FS1.
Nice,
First things first with Nick Wright, Kevin Wilds, Chris Broussard, and the guys. Man, we have a good time talking ball, talking
sweet,
what's going on all day, all week. So
awesome.
that's where I'm at. And then I'm dad. I'm
Hey,
dad the week that I'm off.
hey, I'm Paw Paw now. Sometimes,
Paw Paw is
I got
crazy.
I got a granddaughter. She calls me Paw Paw. Hey, Paw Paw, what we doing? I'm like, I don't know what you want to do. She like, I want. She came to me not too long earlier this summer. We had her for a summer for a couple of weeks. She says, Paw Paw, I want to be a YouTuber like you are, because I sometimes I'm streaming and she's right behind me, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
you want to? I got you, girl. I got you. So.
yeah.
So yeah,
I love
definitely,
it, man.
yeah, definitely enjoy that. So man, happy holidays to you and your family.
Same,
All right.
likewise.
All right. So I'm Ahman Green here on Believe in Packers, and we just got a good dose of football conversation right there with my man Greg Jennings. So this is Believe in Packers. We're gonna learn from this, right, fans? Learn from this, move on. And what I always say at the end of the stream, go pack, go. All right, guys.
Go Pack Go.
Do that all day. So thank you very much for tuning in, and catch y'all later this week.